Module description. This foundational module introduces you to the conceptual, philosophical, historical, and psychological roots of musical improvisation. It aims to break the myth that improvisation is only for gifted musicians by demonstrating that it is a skill that can be studied, practiced, and mastered by any dedicated instrumentalist. You will explore how improvisation has functioned across cultures and eras, from African oral traditions to jazz clubs, classical cadenzas, gospel services, and modern fusion. By the end of this module, you will gain a holistic understanding of improvisation, not just as a technical activity, but as a musical language, a means of emotional expression, and a collaborative art form. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to define improvisation in a musical and cultural context, explain the psychological and neurological processes involved in real-time musical creation, compare improvisational traditions across musical genres and cultures, understand the myth versus reality of improvisation as a natural skill versus a developed discipline, analyze recordings of historical improvisers to identify stylistic characteristics, begin developing improvisational freedom through conceptual and listening-based exercises. Historical perspectives. Ancient and non-Western improvisation. African drumming as a spontaneous communal act rooted in call and response and polyrhythm. Indian classical music's use of raga improvisation within structured tala rhythms. Arabic maqams and Persian dastka. Melodic modes used for spiritual expression. European classical improvisation. Baroque improvisation. Figured bass and ornamentation, e.g., Bach. Classical and romantic cadenzas. Virtuosic improvisational sections within concertos, e.g., Beethoven, Liszt. The decline of improvisation in Western classical training in the 20th century. 20th to 21st century innovations. Jazz as the dominant art form of modern improvisation. Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. Rock, funk, Afrobeat, and R&B. Groove-based and modal improvisation. Gospel's prophetic flow and spontaneous worship. Contemporary improvisers in experimental, ambient, hip-hop, and electronic genres.
Philosophical and cognitive aspects. Improvisation as spontaneous composition. The balance of conscious and subconscious processing. The brain's dual role in pattern recognition and creative innovation. Decision-making in real time. Phrasing, dynamics, note choice, and rhythmic variation. Creativity and risk in music. Letting go of perfectionism and embracing mistakes as creative opportunities. Developing a yes-and mentality to build upon musical ideas. Listening as a primary improvisational tool, responding rather than reacting. The emotional and spiritual power of improvisation, music as a language of the soul. Using improvisation as a form of storytelling and healing. Spiritual improvisation traditions, gospel, Sufi zikr, shamanic drumming.
Notable improvisers and case studies. Jazz, Miles Davis, space and mood. Charlie Parker, speed and harmonic depth. Thelonious Monk, angular phrasing. Gospel, Richard Smallwood, Kirk Franklin's spontaneous choir leadership. Afrobeat, Fela Kuti's saxophone improvisations and rhythmic layering. Fusion, Herbie Hancock, Snarky Puppy, Corey Henry's live improvisation style. Guitarists, Pat Metheny, Wes Montgomery, octave phrasing, Jimi Hendrix, sonic expressionism. Practical activities in this module. Listening logs, analyzing famous improvised solos, and identifying structure, motifs, and development. Call and response practice, using short motifs on your instrument to build conversational phrases. Free improvisation sessions, removing the fear of mistakes by improvising freely with minimal tonal or rhythmic restrictions. Improvisation diary, documenting emotional responses, breakthroughs, and blocks during improvisation. Tools and techniques introduced. Motif development, the question and answer method. Limitation exercises, e.g., improvise using 3 notes only, visualization and imagination in playing, emotional tone mapping, assessment and application. By understanding the historical depth, cultural significance, and expressive power of improvisation, you begin to internalize its potential beyond technique. This module sets the foundation for technical modules to follow, grounding every future practice session in meaning, not just mechanics.